chose to come to Howard because, well, first off, I wanted to go into political science, so I wanted to come to DC. And I felt that in order to truly know myself and be prepared to go out into the world and make a difference, I needed to get that history that you can only get at a black college. Right now we are at Brittany Elementary. This area is significant to me because this is where I first got my taste of what it truly means to be an educator. I was a tutor, I was a lead tutor, and basically after school, the students would come to us from 3 to 6, and we would read books with them and do activities according to the books. And you know, that was the idea that was set up with the program. But it's hard to do that when a lot of the times the kids don't really need a tutor or homework help. Sometimes they just need someone to listen to them, someone to talk to them, and someone to believe in them. What really struck me, I'm not from DC, I'm from Los Angeles, and what really struck me when I started to work in the DC public school system is the fact that you can go to the top floor and look out and see the Washington Monument. Through the broken glass, through the dirty window, you can see the Washington Monument. And we're constantly given this idea that America cares about the children and they're so concerned, but literally, you know, a walk away from the Capitol where they're making all of these promises, you have a school without windows, a school perhaps without books, chairs, and basic amenities for education. There's a great need for, you know, educational reform. So I decided that I wanted to go into education, and I wanted to go into education policy. It's relied on that we are apathetic to policy, and in being apathetic, our voice isn't heard. And I decided that instead of being apathetic about the way things are, I was going to become proactive and try to change things. This wall, it really just commemorates my first year or two. These are cards that my family sent me while I was in school. Keep that food stamp, series 1999, to remember, you know, where you come from, so you know where you're going. And remember that, you know, life is not easy and simple, and it takes work. And just to remember never to go back that way, because my mother worked hard for us not to have to do that. So, I mean, it's a little hard to talk about. You know, it happened in July. My mother passed away in July. Breast cancer that had metastasized, which means spread all throughout her body. It was horrible. It was one of the worst experiences to go through. I saw the medical system, you know, firsthand, and it was just, you know, horrible. Mom was 38, and it just, from the moment she got to the hospital, they just gave up hope. They looked and saw she had cancer in the past, and they just gave up hope on her. You know, towards the end, she had gotten stable and was stable enough for transfer and was stable enough to be removed from the ICU unit. And when I was trying to get a doctor to admit her to the other hospital, the doctors couldn't admit her because she didn't have the proper insurance. She had Medi-Cal. And so these doctors didn't accept Medi-Cal. And we did get one doctor, a cancer specialist, who did accept Medi-Cal. And he wanted her to come to the hospital, but he didn't have the authority to admit her. And just going through that process of calling people and begging and crying and, you know, telling them my mom's only 38, come on. That was just ridiculous, that she didn't have the right insurance. It's like a business. It's a business, and you can't have a business when you're dealing with people's lives. If you wallow in the darkness that, you know, America is in, if you get stuck in that, then that's your reality. That becomes you. And I think that I know that without hope for change, I would just fall apart, you know.
We are a nation that lifted ourselves from the depths of depression, that won civil rights and women's rights and voting rights for all our people.
Someone like Obama, I think it would make a difference.
We are the beacon that has led generations of weary travelers to find opportunity and liberty and hope on our doorstep. That's who we are, and that's who we can be again.
And his title, The Audacity of Hope, you know. You do have to be pretty audacious to say, I can change this. This doesn't have to be this way. We can do this. We can try this.
I ask you to believe again.